my fabulous peoples. Okay, so this is a recipe for hollandaise sauce. It's a keto recipe. We're going to be doing the English muffin recipe. It's a 90-second keto English muffin, and then we're going to be doing some hollandaise sauce here for those of you who are interested. And there are other versions of this. Of course, if you're not on keto, go ahead, buy your muffins. There's some great brands on the market. But this is for people who want to learn how to do the hollandaise sauce as well as those on keto. I'm going to be using two tools today. My first tool is going to be the handy immersion blender here. I'm going to pull it out. We're going to set a few of our ingredients to the side right quick. So we're just working with a few of these to the side. Now, let's go ahead. So we're gonna go ahead and start the keto muffin. So this is very simple. I'm gonna melt some butter first, stick in our trusty microwave. 1 second. Alrighty, 30 seconds later, we've got our butter. So I'm just gonna lightly dance this around the ramekin. So we're gonna cook these for about 90 seconds apiece. So we've got our ramekins here. Those are these nice things are called. Got my brush. I'm gonna brush this butter up the sides. We're actually using ghee. Now, I normally use regular butter, but since we're ketoing, ghee is a lot less in the carb family, more stable for these lovely hollandaise sauce. So you'll have less of a chance of curdling. Because eggs are very expensive these days. And we want to get the most out of our food and our eggs, of course. So we put about a teaspoon of ghee in each of these containers. And I'm just brushing up the sides, making sure, just go ahead and take it all the way up the sides. It's gonna run down a little bit. Do not worry. So I'm gonna go ahead and set that to the side. I'm gonna be using the immersion blender here, great handheld, and I'm gonna be using the aerator. So these two fabulous tools are gonna get us where we need to be. So first things first, we're gonna do 3 tablespoons of our almond flour. Now, some people will mix a little bit of coconut with the almond flour. I'm not doing that because I really want to cut the carbs. That recipe is delicious if you find it, but it's like 4 other carbs. Now, if you're on a very intense low carb diet where you don't want to waste unnecessary carbs, I would advise just doing it straight with some almond flour. It's only 4 extra carbs. If you feel like you want more of that cakey, dense kind of taste, go for it, of course, but you don't have to. So we got our almond flour, and we're gonna do a teaspoon here of blah, 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 blah. Next, we're gonna do half a teaspoon. Half a teaspoon of baking powder is all you're gonna need. Find the right measurements here. All right, guys and girls. 1 and 1. Now, the reason we want to measure out correctly, make sure we're doing things up to par. This recipe actually requires a lot of eggs, and we don't want to waste any of the eggs. No wasting of the eggs, no wasting of the food. So I just took 2 more eggs out the fridge. And so what I'm doing is set those separately because I want my other eggs to be at room temperature. Room temperature is always what we're going for. So, and I keep the eggshells, and I'm gonna rinse those later because we're gonna be putting those in the actual garden. So we'll do 1 egg here, 1 egg over here. Okay. So I'm gonna start with this. We're gonna keep it on a level 1. I'm just gonna put it directly in there. And we're gonna give it a good mix with our handheld. Love our handheld. And keep it about a 1. You really don't need any more than that. So that's one done. And I'm gonna come a tad bit closer because I want you all to be able to see this a little bit more on the camera. See how it's picking up? So we just let it rest in there. And that's gonna pick up everything on the bottom. This immersion blender is actually pulling things from the bottom. Bell guard, those of you who have one, you really need to be using this for things like these little bitty ramekin things. It's perfect. So what it's doing, see that bell guard there? That protects your container. And we're just on a level 1, gently whipping and blending. And that is it. Because we're gonna need that nice and fluffy, okay? So, that's done. That's the beautiful consistency we are looking for. So, we've got our ramekins ready. We're gonna put 90 seconds on each of these. I'm doing them separately because I don't want to risk overcooking or undercooking this particular recipe. Now, this is itching. Always the tip of your nose when your hands are full. So now we're gonna do 4 of these eggs, and I'm gonna keep my whites here to the side. So what I'm looking for, and these are all at room temperature. I always recommend working at room temperature with your eggs. And so what I'm gonna do is we're gonna just kind of gently. Now this is a little trick. Everybody has their own trick for separating eggs. I'm just gonna go back and forth. I kind of learned this in homemade class years and years ago. I don't even know if they still do homemade classes. Somebody can type down below if they still do. I'm very curious about that. Anyway, on to this other note. Now in my whites here, I got a little bit of yellow yolk. I'm gonna take that out because we don't want any yellow yolk in the whites because we're gonna use those whites in the future. We're gonna be making some other really great things with those whites. Maybe surprise y'all with another recipe. And we're just gonna go back and forth until we get all that nice yellow. 2. On the type of eggs you use, I normally don't use store-bought eggs, but I knew I had to be doing a lot of egg stuff here, so the consistency is a bit different for me, but that's neither here nor there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Just double checking, making sure I have everything I need. 2. And we're going to do one more. And if you're going to reuse those shells in your garden like I am, I'm going to actually wash them out. And then I'm going to, because we don't want to put any protein elements like that in the garden because we just want the shells. They're great for your tomatoes and things like that. So I'll wash them out, dry them up, or let them air dry. It doesn't take that long, it's really quick. And then I'm just gonna use them later and I'll blend them up in my Vitamix because I want to get them nice and powdery. So I can just add them to the garden and they break down super simple. You can put them in the garden just right away. I just don't. I prefer to compost them simple. So I'm gonna go grab, got their egg whites. So this is one. See, it's nice. It's a very beautiful color. So I'm gonna set this up. So we got one of our beautiful. They come out beautifully. Perfectly. If you oil those sides, they don't stick. We're just gonna let that kind of sit and rest. That is our English muffin. We're gonna toast it up here in a bit after it's cool. So simple English muffin. I'm gonna let it toast up here in a bit. Very easy to do. Now, I am going to make this. So we've got our lovely, lovely, lovely eggs in here. Beautiful eggs. This is such a simple hollandaise sauce. You guys are gonna kick yourself when you see how easy it is to make. You could be making brunch every day, better than what you'll buy in any grocery, in any restaurant or anything like that. You can be making your own brunches beautifully. So I'm gonna set my tool back here out of the way. Now we're gonna be using the big boy blender. Set the dishes to the side. We'll wash them up in a little bit here. Actually, I'm gonna need those spoons just one second, because we're gonna add a little habanero, a little heat. Now you can do any kind of spices you want. I'm doing a bit of habanero, but you heat this baby up the way you want to. We're gonna be using a tad of salt, just a dash. We're gonna be using about half a cup of ghee and about 2 tablespoons worth of our lovely, lovely lime juice. You can use lime or lemon. I'm using lime because limes are all I have right now. But it's kind of dealer's choice on that. So I'm gonna set these to the side, and then I'm gonna show you guys how to make the perfect, the perfect egg poached, and we will be done. So this is really like a 5-10 minute at the most recipe. I'm just kind of walking you through it so you kind of see easily how it's done. I hear the microwave going off, so I'm gonna go grab the other muffins. They're super hot and very steamy. I don't know if you can see that steam there. So be very careful when handling these. Just let them rest for just a couple seconds while we're cooking the rest of the job. So I'm gonna melt the butter. I'm gonna give it about 30 seconds or so. So while the butter is melting, I'm gonna walk you through how to use the aerator for this particular recipe. So we are melting up our butter, and I'm gonna walk you through this aerator. Again, the aerator is this flat disc, for those of you who have it. It really does make your life a whole lot easier. I'm gonna go ahead and add about 2 tablespoons of our lime juice. Now this helps to cook the actual ingredient, so you don't end up with raw or undercooked eggs. Now the Vitamix itself will cook to some degree. I know that it's 2 tablespoons, but I'm just measuring it out to be sure, because this is a very ticky recipe. So we're gonna be using some salt for flavor and some habanero. Now this little habanero, I'm gonna be posting, I had some habaneros that I grew last season. We grew a lot of them, and they grew like crazy. But I had more than I could use, so I ground them up in the Vitamix itself to make this lovely habanero seasoning. Habanero is very spicy, so we don't need to use a whole lot of it, y'all. So our ghee is ready, of course. You heard it go off there. We're gonna let that. So we've added the habanero spice. I'm gonna be doing just a pinch of salt, not too much. We just wanna bring that flavor on out. And then I'm going to go ahead and we're gonna start this very low. So when you're using the aerator, one of the keys is going to be to start over here on the numbers on it, because the aerator is not like your typical other container. It does not have blades. It has a disc that aerates, pulls down, and forces back up. So it has a disc that aerates, forces down, pulls back up. So what I'm going to do, we're gonna get the lid here. I could show you all this without the lid on it, but for safety purposes, I don't want to do that. So what we're gonna do is just gently, our ghee is a little hot, so hold on. Good. So while we're letting the ghee cool down, I'm gonna go over to the stove. So we're letting our ghee cool down for about a minute or two. Doesn't take that long. So while that's cooling down, we're just gonna come on over here. Let's shift that a little closer for us because I want you guys to be able to see it. And we're gonna take our other items that have been resting for a minute, and we're gonna go ahead and start the process on getting them toasted up. And I'm just gonna kind of turn all of this over here. Hopefully you guys can see this. We're just gonna tap, tap, tap out of the muffins. They're nice and cooled. Alright, so this is what you get. I'm just gonna gently, because I don't want this to. There we go. There it is. Very gently pop them out. As you put that 2 tablespoons of that ghee down, so you have enough oil in there. All right. And if you have a toaster, you can slide these into your toaster. For some reason, actually I know why I don't. I don't have a toaster because I don't have room for one. I have a very tiny kitchen, y'all, very tiny. That's oddly shaped. But I'm gonna cut them here. Don't worry about being perfect. We're just gonna toast it. Next step is our egg. So we got our 4 eggs, our habanero sauce, a pinch of salt, or habanero seasoning, sorry. And then we're gonna let it go for a couple seconds on like a level 4. We're just trying to pull air into here. So we're gonna let this go. You can already see it starting to get nice and creamy, which is what we're looking for. That nice creamy aeration. And let that go for about 30 seconds. Now, as that's going, we're just gently going to add our warm ghee. I like to pour it from a distance so it keeps cooling down a bit. Because I'm not trying to cook my egg. I'm just trying to add that ghee. I let it go for about 2 minutes because I'm looking for a nice creamy consistency where that butter's really infused in there. We're going to pull a little more air into it. I'm not going past 2 minutes because I'm not trying to overly heat this up. Because once you start heating in the Vitamix, you're going to end up with a consistency you're not wanting. We're going to be in that cooked territory. There we go. So let's see. So I'm taking it back another couple of seconds because I want mine thicker. So we've run this for a total of 2 minutes and 20 seconds. We've got that nice, thick, rich, creamy consistency, and that's what we're looking for. So I'm gonna go check on the English muffins that are toasting up. So I've set my hollandaise sauce to the side, and what we're going to be doing is this little bitty trick to get the perfect Eggs Benedict. So, got our nice creamy hollandaise ready. My water is going for my Eggs Benedict, and I'm gonna show you guys this little trick that I saw, and I really love it. So we're gonna be using a little egg, a little bitty strainer. Now these eggs are pretty fresh. If they were not fresh, you would see little bitty bits. See, there's one, a little bit straining through, not too much. So we're getting rid of all those floaties. I'm gonna take the first egg. So we strained, and now you guys can see, we got our water to about 180. You want between 180 and 190. on those measurements. See, it's starting to a rolling boil, and I don't really want a rolling boil. I'm gonna put that right up. I'm gonna turn it down just a tad. We don't want it to roll on the boil. We just want to give a nice gentle cook. If you see your boil starting to roll, go ahead and turn it down. And we want to let it cook for about 2 minutes. It's been going for about a minute now. See that it's getting a nice, we want that nice gelacious center. We still want the yolk, we just don't want all of the other stuff. See, that's beautiful. That's what we're looking for. I don't want to have to trim. A lot of places, I've seen where people do these recipes and to get that perfect egg, because I was like, oh, how do they get that perfect center? They'll do the swirl method and then making the little whirlpool, and then they'll trim. I'm like, why are you wasting all the food? This little spatula or a regular fine mesh strainer, you can do a larger one. It's just enough to make sure we don't waste. So all the egg that comes through the strainer is the stuff we want to get rid of. And so I'm shaking it around a little bit. Just want to shake it up a bit. Sure, it's a nice good cook. Give it a couple seconds more. I'm gonna give it about 30 seconds more. And there she has it. The nice salad egg. And as you can see, we have a perfectly poached egg. The first one, it's not perfect, but it's still delicious. The yolk still held. But this one came out perfect. So we're gonna go ahead and serve this up. super hope you all have enjoyed the Keto Egg McMuffin. I'm gonna dig in here in a second and let you know. Alrighty, y'all. So we're gonna dig right into this. Oh, it's so juicy. I love it. Oh, guys, check it out. Got that perfect, creamy little center there. It's delicious looking. Bon appetit. See, I love it. See, I love when that yolk is perfect, soft, juicy. And those muffins came out so deliciously. I wish you guys were here to share this with, but I know you're gonna make a beautiful one at home and you'll put your spin on it. All right. It's a little bit of salt, just a little, to finish it off. Perfect. Guys, enjoy your muffins as much as I'm enjoying this. It's a great recipe for someone who's diabetic, as well as keto friendly. It's so creamy. So creamy. All right, like, share, subscribe, and the whole jazz. And always, Kessa's Kitchen, you're always welcome. Come see me in my road shows. I'm usually at a Costco somewhere here in Houston. Any questions for those of you guys, I would love to answer them for you. Just type them below. Find me on all social media, Pinterest, YouTube, all of it up there. Kessa's Kitchen. And as always, thank you guys for stopping in. So good.